Welcome to today's deep dive, where we're going to be exploring the philosophies behind IBM's success, as told by Thomas J. Watson Jr.,
Okay.
who is the son of IBM's founder.
Right.
We're going to be looking at excerpts from his book of business and its beliefs, the ideas that helped build IBM.
Interesting.
Get ready for some intriguing perspectives from a time when computers were really different from what we know today.
Yeah, those are the days, huh?
Watson Jr. argues that long-lasting success for any organization depends not on market dominance or, clever tactics,
Right.
but on having a really solid set of beliefs.
A foundation.
Yeah, a foundation that guides every action, every policy.
I see.
He does say that this philosophy isn't a one-size-fits-all kind of thing,
Yeah, of course.
but the principles are definitely worth exploring for any organization.
For sure.
So at the heart of IBM's success are three core beliefs,
Okay.
and they seem pretty straightforward when you first hear them.
Uh-huh.
But the real power is in how they're actually put into practice. It's in that commitment to these beliefs that IBM found its recipe for success.
Interesting.
So these beliefs are respect for the individual, dedication to customer service, and pursuit of superiority in everything they do.
Those are powerful individually, but I bet together they create something really special.
Yeah, they do.
Okay.
And so let's start with respect for the individual.
Sounds good.
Watson Jr. tells this really compelling story about his father, Watson Sr., and how he joined IBM's predecessor, which was called the Computing Tabulating Recording Company.
Right.
And the company was facing some internal issues, low morale.
Corey.
And most leaders in that situation,
Yeah.
what would they do? They'd probably want to clean house, fire everyone, and
It's tempting to start fresh, right?
exactly, start fresh.
Yeah.
But Watson Sr., he chose a different path.
Interesting.
He kept all the employees, and instead he focused on developing their talents
Oh, wow.
and fostering a sense of unity.
That's impressive.
And that decision actually laid the groundwork for IBM's famous job security policy.
Which is legendary, right?
Legendary.
Yeah, you hear about that all the time.
So this wasn't just like a feel-good idea, right?
Why?
This had real consequences. So during the Great Depression, when companies were downsizing left and right,
Everyone was cutting back.
IBM did something really audacious.
What was that?
They stockpiled inventory.
Oh, wow. In the middle of a depression.
Yeah.
That sounds risky.
Very risky, and it looked really bad at the time.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But this gamble paid off big time in 1935
What happened?
when Congress passed the Social Security Act,
Oh, wow.
and IBM, because they had all this inventory ready to go,
You were ready.
they snagged this huge contract to manage the program's massive bookkeeping needs.
That's incredible.
And it solidified their reputation and really fueled their growth.
Wow. So taking care of their employees actually ended up giving them a competitive edge.
Exactly.
Fast.
So it's really remarkable how prioritizing employee well-being turned out to be a smart move during tough times.
Absolutely.
And their dedication to their employees went beyond, the usual benefits. They created this robust retraining program for their employees as technology changed.
So they were constantly investing in their workforce.
Yes, always investing in them.
That's pretty amazing.
They also had these, social gatherings, picnics, things like that,
Oh, fun.
to build this sense of community and support.
Smart.
And it really fostered this strong sense of loyalty among their employees.
Makes sense.
And even today, job security is still one of the top reasons people love working at IBM.
Wow. So that legacy really lives on.
It really does.
Interesting.
So now let's talk about something that might make some managers a little nervous.
Okay. I'm intrigued.
The open door policy.
I've heard of this.
So imagine being able to go over your manager's head to the very top
Wow.
with any concerns you have.
That's bold.
That was the reality at IBM. Any employee could go directly to the top brass, even to Watson Sr. himself,
Oh.
with their grievances or concerns.
Did people actually do that?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
No kidding.
They would travel sometimes, long distances to meet with him and discuss their issues.
That's incredible. So it wasn't just a policy in name only.
No, they really lived it.
Wow. That must have been pretty challenging for middle management.
I'm sure it was.
Oh.
But it really showed IBM's commitment to fairness and open dialogue.
So it was worth the potential downsides.
Definitely.
Interesting.
And as IBM grew, obviously scaling this policy became more difficult.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But they were always dedicated to keeping those communication channels open.
They adapted as they grew.
Exactly.
Very cool.
Another thing IBM did that was kind of remarkable was minimize the distinction between blue-collar and white-collar workers.
Huh. That's interesting.
So they had these practices that really blurred the lines between those traditional categories.
Like what?
So, for example, benefits were tied to years of service, not job title.
So an hourly worker with a lot of seniority
Yeah.
could have the same benefits as an executive.
Exactly.
That's pretty unique.
They also got rid of piecework in their factories.
Okay, so they moved away from a system that really emphasized individual output
Right.
and focused more on a team approach.
Yeah, more collaborative.
Interesting.
And this approach, while it might have led to some inefficiencies, it really boosted morale among their hourly workers.
Yeah, because they felt valued,
Exactly.
not just like cogs in a machine.
Exactly. And it showed that they valued every employee's contribution, no matter their position.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
Okay, so they had these amazing policies, but what about their management style?
So their management style was also very focused on respect and support.
I'm curious to hear more about that.
Watson Jr. shares this anecdote about his father's early days as a salesman
Okay.
when he was struggling, as a young salesman. And instead of reprimanding him or anything, his manager actually went out into the field with him to help him close deals.
Wow, so he got direct support from his manager.
Yeah, hands-on support.
That's amazing.
And that experience really shaped IBM's management philosophy.
Okay, how so?
Managers were expected to actively mentor and train their teams, not just tell them what to do.
So leading by example.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Like if a salesman was having trouble, branch managers would actually go on sales calls with them.
Wow, to provide support in real time.
Yeah, and it showed that they were invested in their employees' success.
It wasn't just about hitting quotas. It was about helping their people grow.
Exactly.
That's impressive.
And let's not forget about their emphasis on promoting from within.
That's a big one.
So because IBM was growing so rapidly, there were tons of opportunities for promotion.
Right.
And they almost always filled those positions internally.
Wow, so imagine the impact that had on morale.
It was huge.
Knowing that if you worked hard, you could move up in the company.
Absolutely.
That's a great motivator.
And even in areas where promotions were limited, like in plant operations,
Okay.
they had this concept called job enlargement.
What's that?
So they would expand the scope of responsibilities for individual workers
Okay.
to give them a more well-rounded understanding of the production process.
So instead of doing the same repetitive task over and over,
Exactly.
they had a chance to learn new skills.
Yeah, and take on more challenging roles.
That's a great way to keep people engaged.
Exactly.
Very cool.
Now, let's address this common concern about big companies.
Okay.
Do they stifle individuality?
Yeah, that's a worry people have, right?
Yeah. Do they turn employees into conformists?
Right.
Watson Jr. actually pushes back on this idea.
Oh, really?
He gives all these examples of independent thinking and a willingness to challenge the status quo at IBM.
Okay, give me an example.
Like he talks about this time when salespeople openly disagreed with the political discussion that was happening during a meeting,
Wow, so they weren't afraid to speak their minds,
Yeah.
even if it went against the grain.
even if it meant disagreeing with their superiors.
It's impressive.
And it shows that large organizations can actually foster individual achievement
Interesting.
by providing the resources and the challenging environments that you might not find elsewhere.
So it's about finding that balance
Yeah.
between having a shared purpose and also allowing for different perspectives.
Exactly.
So let's move on to IBM's second core belief,
Okay.
dedication to customer service.
This one is really captured in that iconic ad campaign.
Oh, yeah.
IBM means service.
Cashy.
Yeah, it's short, but it's powerful, and it's
Mhm.
not just words.
Right. It's backed up by action.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And this dedication actually stems from Watson Sr.'s own background.
Really?
Yeah, in his early days, he was selling pianos and sewing machines.
Huh, interesting.
Yeah, across rural New York.
Okay.
And through that experience, he learned the value of a good reputation
Makes sense.
and building strong customer relationships.
Word of mouth is everything.
Yeah, and it's more than just closing a sale. It's about building trust and loyalty that lasts.
Exactly.
And that philosophy, it really became ingrained in IBM's culture.
I see.
They had this rigorous selection and training process for their salespeople
Okay.
and for their customer engineers.
So they really invested in their people.
Yeah, they wanted to make sure everyone was top-notch.
That makes sense.
And they went beyond just selling products.
Okay, how so?
They really tried to understand their customers' needs,
Mm-hmm.
and they would tailor their solutions to fit those needs.
So it was about finding the right fit for the customer.
Yeah, it wasn't about forcing customers to adapt to their machines.
Right.
It was about adapting their machines to the customer.
Got it.
And their commitment to service it went way beyond the ordinary.
Really?
They would go to extraordinary lengths to meet their customers' needs.
Like what?
So Watson Jr. tells this story
Okay.
about this last-minute government order for 150 machines
Okay.
that needed to be delivered over Easter weekend.
Oh, wow. That's a tight deadline.
Huge logistical challenge.
Yeah.
But IBM, they pulled it off.
No way.
They mobilized their workforce.
Oh.
They worked around the clock. They even got police escorts
Wow.
to make sure those machines were delivered on time.
That's incredible.
And they even set up like a pop-up factory in Georgetown.
Wow. Talk about dedication.
Yeah, it was amazing.
So they really went above and beyond.
They did, and that's how they built that reputation for excellence.
It's all about earning that trust.
Yeah, and that trust was invaluable.
Definitely.
Okay, so now let's talk about IBM's third core belief.
Right.
The pursuit of superiority
Okay.
in everything they did.
So it's not just about being good.
Yeah.
It's about striving for excellence.
Yeah, pushing the limits, never settling.
I like it.
And Watson Sr. had this saying,
Oh, yeah. What was it?
"It is better to aim at perfection and miss
Okay.
than to aim at imperfection and hit it."
That's a good one.
And that pursuit of perfection, it permeated every aspect of IBM.
Their products, their customer interactions, even their internal processes.
Everything.
Wow.
And it created this unique tone within the company.
What do you mean?
It was this blend of optimism and excitement.
Okay.
And this constant striving for improvement.
So it wasn't just about achieving something.
Right.
It was about constantly trying to surpass what they had already accomplished.
Exactly.
Interesting.
And they took on these challenges that seemed almost impossible.
Really?
Watson Jr. tells this story about how in 1924,
Okay.
they decided to change their name
Oh, yeah.
to International Business Machines Corporation.
IBM.
Yeah. But at the time, they were mostly selling scales and time clocks.
So not exactly international?
Well, not really.
And not really about business machines?
Nope. But they had this vision,
Uh-huh.
and they acted like a global powerhouse, even though they weren't quite there yet.
So it's about believing in their potential.
Yeah. And acting on that belief even when it seemed audacious.
I like that.
And that audacious spirit, you see it a lot in Watson Sr.'s actions.
Okay.
So during the Depression, when everyone else was cutting back, Watson Sr. kept hiring salespeople.
Really?
Yeah, and when people asked him about it,
Yeah.
he'd say that his hobby was hiring salesmen.
Wow. What a way to look at
But
it.
that's that confidence, that conviction.
Yeah, you got to believe in your vision.
And IBM's pursuit of superiority,
Yeah.
it wasn't limited to their internal operations.
Okay.
They brought that same sense of grandeur to their customer interactions.
How so?
Their sales conventions were legendary,
Oh, I've heard stories.
like elaborate productions.
Wow.
And they'd go to these extraordinary lengths.
Like what?
So for their overseas salesmen,
Uh-huh.
they would provide headphones at their seats
Okay.
so they could follow the presentations in their native languages.
That's incredible.
Yeah, talk about attention to detail.
Yeah, they thought of everything.
And they were always looking for ways to make a big impact. So when General Eisenhower visited their plant in Endicott,
Okay.
Watson Sr. had a platform built within an hour. So Eisenhower could address the entire workforce.
That's impressive.
It was a spontaneous gesture,
Yeah.
but it left a lasting impression.
It shows they were willing to go the extra mile.
Yeah, always exceeding expectations.
So this combination of strong beliefs, bold actions,
Yes.
and that relentless pursuit of excellence.
It really propelled IBM to the forefront.
They were a force to be reckoned with.
But their journey wasn't without its challenges.
Right. Every success story has its obstacles.
So the post-World War II era brought about this massive technological advancement
Okay.
and exponential growth.
A whole new world.
And it really tested their ability to stay true to their beliefs while adapting to this new landscape.
So how did they do it?
Well, a balancing act, for sure.
Yeah, you got to embrace the new, but hold on to what makes you you.
Exactly. The growth they experienced during this time was just astounding.
Give me some numbers.
So from 1946 to 1961,
Okay.
IBM's domestic revenue increased 14 times.
14 times.
Yeah, reaching $107 billion.
That's insane.
And their workforce exploded from 17,000 to nearly 80,000 employees.
Wow. So they were growing rapidly and expanding their reach.
Yeah, they went from being mostly centered in New York
Uh-huh.
to having a national presence.
Okay.
With 11 new manufacturing plants across 9 states.
Coast to coast?
And their international presence grew as well.
Makes sense.
Their overseas operations, which had been kind of a small division,
Uh-huh.
became the IBM World Trade Corporation.
Okay.
And by the early 1960s, that global arm was generating almost $500 million in revenue.
Wow, and growing even faster than their domestic operations.
It was remarkable.
So they were managing this massive growth,
Yeah.
and at the same time, they had to deal with this huge technological shift.
Yes, from electromechanical punch card technology
My old way.
to electronic computers.
The future.
And this was a revolution.
Yeah, it changed everything.
Like going from propeller planes to jets and rockets.
A whole new era.
And it affected every part of their business.
They're manufacturing their sales, their service, everything.
Everything.
Wow.
So their engineering teams.
Yeah.
They had to bring in all these specialists
Okay.
in physics, chemistry, metallurgy, math.
Because the technology was getting so much more sophisticated.
Exactly.
It must have been a steep learning curve.
Oh, yeah, for everyone.
And what about their sales and service teams?
How to adapt, too.
Yeah, I imagine selling a computer is a lot different from selling an accounting machine.
Totally different.
Night and day.
Their salespeople went from selling these relatively simple machines to dealing with these million-dollar computer installations.
Wow.
It was a whole new ballgame.
And the customer engineers.
Yeah, they had to learn all about electronics and advanced testing equipment.
So everyone had to upskill.
Big time.
To keep up with the times.
And the pace of technological change was just incredible.
Give me an example.
So, their first large-scale computer, the Mark I, built in 1944. They'd only do 3 calculations per second.
3.
3.
That's crazy slow by today's standards.
Oh, yeah, but by 1952,
Okay.
their commercially available computer, the 701, could do 16,000 calculations per second.
Wow, what a jump.
And today's computers, they can do hundreds of thousands, even millions of calculations in an instant.
It's mind-boggling how far we've come.
It really is.
So they're dealing with this rapid technological advancement and explosive growth.
Yes.
And it's putting a lot of strain on their organization.
Definitely.
And their ability to maintain their values.
It was a real challenge.
So how did they make sure their culture didn't get lost in all the chaos?
Well, it was tough.
Yeah.
Before, when they were smaller, new employees kind of absorbed the culture naturally.
Through osmosis?
Yeah, by working with their colleagues and their superiors.
Just in the air.
Exactly. But with so many new people coming in and the pace of change accelerating, that informal approach wasn't enough anymore. They needed something more proactive, more deliberate.
Okay, so what did they do?
They realized how important managers were in transmitting those values.
Makes sense. They're the leaders.
Yeah, but they had a lot of new managers too.
Right.
Many of whom hadn't been with the company that long.
So they needed training.
Yeah, they needed to understand IBM's philosophy.
Okay.
So they created these 2 management schools.
Wow.
One for junior executives and one for line managers.
And these schools, they weren't just about teaching management skills.
No, it was about instilling those core beliefs and that understanding of IBM's unique way of doing business.
It's about building a leadership pipeline that's aligned with the company's values.
Exactly.
And it wasn't just a one-time thing, right?
No, they had to constantly reinforce those beliefs.
Especially as the company grew and faced new challenges.
Yeah, because even the best manager, under pressure to meet deadlines and quotas, they might lose sight of those principles. It's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day.
Yeah, you got to keep the big picture in mind.
So they put systems in place to make sure those beliefs stayed front and center.
Like what?
They had regular attitude surveys, detailed management briefings, and they even started this thing called family dinners.
Family dinners.
Yeah, it was a way to maintain that small company atmosphere.
Even though they were getting huge.
Exactly.
So what happened at these family dinners?
They'd invite employees and their spouses to have dinner with a company officer.
Wow.
It was a chance to connect on a personal level, to hear updates about the company, and to reinforce those core values.
In a relaxed setting.
Yeah, it was brilliant.
It's a great way to bridge that gap between leadership and employees.
And they had this really robust communication system, too. They had Q&A sessions, employee suggestion awards, tons of newsletters.
Wow.
And even personalized letters from the CEO congratulating employees on their achievements.
That's impressive.
They knew that keeping everyone informed and engaged was crucial to preserving their culture.
Communication is key.
And they also realized that ethical conduct, it's not just about setting rules.
Right.
It's about constant vigilance.
And reinforcement.
Yeah, they actually had this experience where some unethical purchasing practices were uncovered.
Oh, wow. So even with a strong culture,
Yeah.
things can still slip through the cracks.
It happens.
So you got to be proactive.
Absolutely.
About maintaining those ethical standards.
And so through all these challenges and adaptations, IBM learned some really valuable lessons.
What were some of those?
They learned how important it is to have good human relations.
Yeah. Happy employees make a big difference.
And how important it is to communicate effectively.
Especially as the company grows.
And to constantly educate your workforce.
Keep them informed and engaged.
And they learned to fight complacency.
Because success can breed complacency. You can't rest on your laurels.
And they learned that the company's interests have to come before individual or departmental gain.
Putting the team first.
And most importantly, they learned that their beliefs should always inform their policies and practices.
Not the other way around.
Never compromise your principles.
That's a powerful lesson.
So now let's shift gears a bit and talk about Watson Jr.'s views on the role of corporations in society.
Interesting. So he's thinking beyond just internal management.
Yeah, he's looking at the bigger picture.
Okay.
The responsibilities that businesses have to the national interest.
It's about recognizing that companies have an impact that goes beyond just their own bottom line.
They affect communities, the environment, society as a whole.
Exactly.
And Watson Jr., he argues that businesses need to consider the national interest in their decision-making.
So it's not just about maximizing profit.
Right. It's about recognizing that a healthy society is essential for long-term business success.
Yeah. You can't thrive in a vacuum.
And he acknowledges that this traditional reliance on self-interest in a free market economy, it has its limitations.
Especially when corporations have so much power.
Exactly.
So what does he propose?
He says businesses need to be more proactive.
Okay.
About considering the impact of their decisions.
On their employees, on communities, on the environment.
On everything.
So a more holistic approach.
Yes.
Taking responsibility for the consequences of their actions.
Exactly. And he emphasizes the need for collaboration.
Between who?
Between government, industry, and labor.
Okay, so working together to solve problems.
Yeah, instead of being adversarial.
Makes sense.
Because we're all in this together.
We are.
And he points out that society's expectations are changing.
How?
People are demanding more from corporations.
Okay.
They want them to be more responsible.
For things like job security, fair wages, social welfare.
Exactly.
So it's not just about the products and services they provide anymore.
It's about their impact on society as a whole.
Their values, their ethics.
Yeah, it's a shift from a purely transactional relationship to one that demands more accountability.
And social responsibility.
And Watson Jr., he challenges that traditional business mindset.
Okay. The one that's skeptical of social welfare programs.
Yeah, the one that sees them as a drain on resources.
Or a threat to free enterprise.
He says those programs are essential.
For what?
For maintaining a healthy and productive society.
Okay.
Which ultimately benefits businesses.
We're all connected.
And he encourages businesses to be innovative.
Okay.
Not just in their products and services, but also in their approach to social issues.
So finding new ways to address those challenges.
Yeah, instead of just opposing anything new.
Right.
Be proactive.
Be part of the solution.
And he acknowledges the immense power that large organizations have.
Like IBM.
And he stresses the importance of responsible leadership.
With great power comes great responsibility.
Exactly.
So what's his call to action?
He wants us to question those outdated solutions.
Okay.
And embrace a more forward-thinking approach.
To addressing social challenges.
He believes that businesses can be a force for good.
I like that.
When they're guided by ethical principles and a commitment to the greater good.
It's an inspiring vision.
It is.
So he's talking about the big picture.
Yeah, the role of business in society.
But he also gets into some specific challenges.
He does.
What are some of those?
So he talked about the increasing complexities of operating in a globalized economy.
Okay.
Facing competition from countries like Japan and Western Europe.
Right.
And he talks about the revolution of rising expectations.
In developing countries.
Yeah, the need to address global poverty and inequality.
It's a complex world.
And domestically, he talks about the need to balance national defense spending with investments in social programs.
Like education and healthcare.
Yeah.
Those are tough choices.
And he raises questions about job creation, economic growth, and the challenges of providing for a growing population.
Big issues.
Big issues that require collaboration.
Yeah, working together to find solutions.
And through all of this, he emphasizes the importance of adaptability, innovation, and a willingness to challenge conventional thinking.
Because the world is constantly changing.
We need to be flexible.
Open to new ideas.
And he recognizes that tension.
Between what?
Between pursuing profit
Okay.
and considering the broader impact of your decisions.
Right. The needs of shareholders versus the needs of society.
And he gives examples of times when business self-interest clashed with the public good.
Like what?
Like opposition to Social Security.
Okay.
And stock exchange regulation.
Interesting.
So he's urging us to think critically about those trade-offs and advocate for solutions that benefit everyone.
Because in the long run, a healthy and equitable society is good for business.
Exactly.
It's all connected.
And he draws this parallel between businesses needing to adapt to changing markets and society needing to adapt to changing needs.
So we all need to be willing to evolve.
And he advocates for embracing new approaches to social problems.
Instead of clinging to outdated ideologies.
We need to be open to new ideas.
And he recognizes the role of government in ensuring a just and equitable society. But he also emphasizes the importance of individual initiative.
It's about finding that balance
between collective action and individual responsibility.
And he believes that government programs should provide a safety net and create opportunities, but not replace individual effort.
So empowering people to help themselves?
Exactly. And he ends on a really optimistic note.
Oh, good.
Highlighting the potential of businesses.
To be a force for good in the world.
To drive progress and prosperity for everyone.
It's a powerful message.
It is.
So he's urging us to see businesses, not as the enemy of social good,
but as a partner.
Working together to create a better future.
A better future for everyone.
I like that. A powerful message indeed, urging businesses to step up and really embrace that role as agents of positive change, working alongside governments and civil society to build a better future for everyone.
It really is. And on that note, let's take a moment to recap those 3 core beliefs that formed the bedrock of IBM's incredible journey.
Sounds good. Let's crystallize those fundamental principles for our listeners.
At the forefront, we have that profound respect for individuals, a principle that took shape in practices like guaranteed job security, open channels of communication, and a genuine commitment to fostering the well-being of their employees.
Following that is their steadfast dedication to providing exceptional customer service, a commitment that went beyond simply satisfying expectations. They genuinely endeavored to comprehend and anticipate their customers' needs, going the extra mile to cultivate lasting relationships built on trust and mutual respect.
And finally, there's that unwavering drive for superiority, an unyielding commitment to achieving excellence in every facet of their operations, pushing boundaries and consistently rejecting the notion of settling for mediocrity.
It's a potent triad of principles that can serve as a guiding light for any organization striving to achieve enduring success and make a genuinely positive impact.
Absolutely. Before we wrap up, let's distill this exploration of IBM's philosophy into 10 key takeaways for our listeners to carry with them.
A fantastic idea. Let's do that.
First and foremost, a solid set of beliefs is the cornerstone of organizational triumph. It acts as a compass to navigate the complexities and often turbulent waters of the business world.
Second, IBM's 3 core beliefs, which we've discussed, respect for the individual dedication to customer service and the relentless pursuit of superiority, they work together creating a powerful synergy that propelled IBM to new heights.
Third, IBM's commitment to job security wasn't just some feel-good policy. It proved to be a strategic advantage, allowing them to seize opportunities and weather storms that left other companies floundering.
Fourth, the open door policy, while certainly unconventional, fostered a culture of fairness and transparency, empowering employees and mitigating the potential for abuses of power that can sometimes plague hierarchical structures.
Fifth, blurring the lines between blue-collar and white-collar workers cultivated a sense of shared purpose and value across all levels of the company. It recognized that every contribution was essential to their collective success.
Sixth, managers at IBM embraced the roles of mentors and guides, actively supporting and developing their teams instead of simply issuing commands. It was about empowering their people to grow and succeed.
Seventh, they prioritized promoting from within whenever possible, creating clear pathways for advancement. This fostered a strong sense of loyalty and a belief that hard work and dedication would be rewarded within the company.
Eighth, IBM successfully debunked that pervasive myth of the organization man, proving that large companies can in fact cultivate individuality and nurture independent thinking. It's about striking that balance between a unified vision and the space for diverse perspectives to flourish.
Ninth, IBM's unwavering dedication to delivering exceptional customer service, exceeding expectations, and going above and beyond to meet those needs solidified their reputation for excellence. It was about building trust that would last a lifetime.
And lastly, our 10th takeaway, the pursuit of superiority served as a constant fuel for innovation, pushing IBM to break boundaries and never settling for good enough. They perpetually strived for greatness, setting a high bar for themselves and the entire industry.
What an insightful journey this has been. We deeply appreciate you joining us on this deep dive into the remarkable philosophy that shaped IBM's success.
The pleasure was all ours. It's been a fascinating exploration of these timeless principles that continue to hold relevance even in today's rapidly evolving business landscape.
And as we conclude this episode, we leave you with this final thought to ponder. If a company that started by selling butcher scales and time clocks could embrace such profound change and achieve such phenomenal success, imagine what's possible for other businesses and for each of us as individuals when we dare to challenge conventional wisdom, prioritize our core values, and strive for something truly extraordinary. Thank you for listening.